Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Chatterer 9000 with Smitman, bringing you the third episode of Steak and Potatoes. Let's see if this one runs smoother than the last one did, and see if it does well compared to the last time we did this. We're back to talk about all sorts of crazy things as usual. We here at Steak and Potatoes, we talk about anything and everything, really. And we talk about the real subjects, even those that are the hardest to digest, as usual. Now, let me open the stream up here to my good buddy Smitman, and we'll get carried on with ourselves here. And behold, you are live.
Hey.
They can hear you. They can hear you, man.
What's going on, buddy?
They can also hear the music too still, but I still got the music running. Hopefully we don't get a copyright hit on that shit, but
that's cool music. I am going to talk to my friend about seeing if he can write us like a little tune or something.
I need to find out if we got some easy listening free domain jazz that we can just play in the background. Well, I like jazz better. I actually do.
He's a legit musician, so I'm going to give him some ideas, and it'll be ours. We can use it however we want to. You know what I mean?
Tell him we need a 4-hour loop of just jazz. That shouldn't be hard to record at all.
No, it shouldn't be. So, things are getting spicy.
Things always getting spicy around this place, man. How was your week?
Week was good. Worked, put in, my normal hours I usually do, and ate some really good tacos today. Some barbacoa tacos. Oh man, they were good. And that's about it. I did send you that article Tuesday morning. Literally half a mile down the street, they found this kid. 18.
Yeah. Let me pull that up.
Yeah, I believe he was 18, I believe. The article, I think, says 17, but I think he was 18. And anyways, they shot him. I think they shot him 6 or 7 times, man.
That was
hardcore.
Pretty crazy.
That
was right down the road from where we used to hang out and shit. That was wild.
Yeah, right down. I mean, dude, my dad literally lives a football field away from there. From that entrance, So, but yeah, I don't want to say his name. You can look it up.
You don't have to. You don't have to say his name, but that was.
I didn't know
just
the
crazy
kid.
Though, man.
Yeah, I didn't know the kid. They say that they think he was shot around midnight, so that'd be Tuesday morning. Midnight, somewhere around there. Yeah. And then a cop patrol that was patrolling the park at around 6:30 in the morning saw the body, and they found his bicycle nearby. It says the bicycle was laying about 100 feet from the body.
Wow.
And the park is usually supposed to be closed at 10 p.m., but the front entrance of the park is open. But then there's another gate that they close off. So he wasn't actually in the park, but pretty much in the park. And that's about it. But then Wednesday, I came through there because I drive right by it on the way to work. And I saw a bunch of cops, about 5 or 6 of them, walking through the ditches and stuff right off the road. I don't know. They're looking for something, But from the article, it said they found bullet casings. They didn't list what gun it was or anything like that. They didn't find a firearm, only bullet casings. And that's about it. But that was Tuesday. So I haven't really gotten any updates on it. It's looking like it was probably drug related. It's what it's looking like. I seen some other stuff about this kid that he had some tattoos, some gang tattoo affiliation kind of stuff going on. So it's probably what it was. It's a shame, 18-year-old kid, but
yeah, it's pretty.
Hey man, you walk that road, dude. That's what happens, man. You know, like you can die doing that stuff. You know,
Well, I
it's a
mean,
dangerous path to live.
while we were in high school, we had friends that got shot, or well, not so many. I can't say we had any friends really that got shot, but we had people that we knew that got shot or got mixed into like some of that messed up stuff, you know.
Oh
And
yeah.
then of course there's that one dude that I used to work with him. I don't want to say his name out loud, but I used to work with him at that Mexican food restaurant, you know, where I was a server
Mm,
at for that one time. I'm sure you know who
uh-huh.
I'm talking about. But he
Yeah.
went to prison for a little while or something, and he shot somebody like right outside the old high school, or well, what was now the, I don't know if it's a junior high anymore, but you know Crosby or whatever it's called.
Yeah. 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 I remember that. I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah. It's there's a lot of shootings going on here lately, man. Like you had that one in Indianapolis. That dude went into the FedEx and I think he shot 8 people and then killed himself.
Yeah, I heard
Uh,
about that one. What was the
yeah.
deal with that one? That was crazy.
You could look the article up. I don't know. I didn't really, you know,
I heard about that. I was like, what the hell?
my problem is when I here lately when I see the news flashes or whatever, I don't really pay attention to them too much because it's not, you know, it's you're not going to get even close to actually what really happened. You know, when these things blast off, like that 13-year-old that just got shot in Chicago. You know, I saw like the headlines on the YouTubes, and it, you know, from the normal, you know, class of people, you know, ABC, CBS, you know, New York Times, that crowd, and it was all, you know, 13-year-old innocently shot by cops, blah 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 blah.
Well, the difficult part about it is like I just Googled it right now because I was looking up wanting to just find out what's the information about this shooting and what happened, and all I'm finding is like articles about the FBI has interviewed the FedEx mass shooter last year. IMPD says assault rifles used. FedEx mass shooter victim remembered as lovable baseball fanatic. Look, I understand, you know, we should talk about the victims and the people that were lost and everything. But why can't I just like Google something and get an article that tells me about what happened? Why can't I
Yeah.
just do that anymore? That's what pisses me off. I can't just Google something and find out what the fuck happened.
Well, what I do know about that dude, the Indianapolis one, uh, a year ago, his mom had called the cops to come out because she was in fear that he was troubled and he was going to attempt suicide by cop. And I don't know if people know what that is, but I mean, sometimes people just go suicide by cop. I mean, it's, you know, not a hard thing to do. You just raise your weapon up at the cops and they're going to,
Yeah,
what is,
they're going to
yeah,
react pretty
what,
quickly.
exactly. So that was a year ago and the cops came out and they really couldn't do anything about it, you know? And so a year passed and then he did this.
So
So that's basically all I know about it.
so
You know,
I found something on it. Goddamn insulin pump. I found something on it, and then what I found was former employee who shot and killed 8 people at a FedEx facility in Indianapolis was interviewed by FBI agents last year after his mother called police to say that her son might commit suicide by cop. The bureau said on Friday. Coroners released the names of the victims late Friday, a little less than 24 hours after the latest mass shooting to rock the U.S. Four of them were members of Indianapolis Sikh community. Yeah, I don't know if you know what a Sikh is, but
no.
Sikhs.
What,
I don't know
Sikh?
the exact origin of the Sikh community where they are, but they're I think they're
Oh,
Middle
yeah,
Eastern of some. They're Middle Eastern. I want to say they're closer to Indian. I think, but
yeah. I know. What you're
I'd have
about.
to look it up to actually give you an accurate description of them. But they're from the
They're
Sikh
in.
community. You know, they wear turbans, I believe.
It's Indian for sure because
Yeah.
one of the victims' names I did see that on TV is Singh which
Yeah.
is like Singh or something like that, and that's definitely an Indian name. Remember, we went to school with a girl that you remember. And her
Yeah,
last
I
name was
remember who you're
Singh.
talking about. I remember her. She's a
Right.
real nice girl. I remember her.
Yes.
She used to live like
Very
for a
beautiful
while.
too, man.
Yeah, she was a real pretty girl.
Very beautiful.
She lived like not that. I think she didn't live that far away from me. Actually, I want to say she lived pretty close to where I lived.
She lived down by closer to me, like on Highway 6.
That's right. No, that's right. She was. There was this dude that she used to date that was right over there by one of our friends and by my house. I know who you're talking about. I'm gonna look up what they are because I don't want to say the wrong thing about them because I'm like I know I've heard of them. I just don't know much about them.
Yeah, well,
I see. It's from.
I think it's some kind of, it's like a civil rights kind of thing, is what I'm understanding about it.
It's something like that.
I mean, they all have them. The Jewish have it.
Yeah. They're people associated with Sikhism, a monotheistic religion that originated in the 15th century in the Punjab region of the Indian subcontinent. Based on the revelation of Guru Nanak, the term Sikh has its origin in the word Sisya, meaning disciple or student. So it's kind of like a...
It's a religion.
It's kind of like a religion that's based out of India. Like an alternative religion based out of India. So I was trying to figure that out too, because I'm like, I knew I've heard of it, but I didn't know if it was I didn't think it was a race of people. I knew it was something like a religion. But anyway, so...
Well, this case is pretty cut and dry. I mean, the kid was fucked up in the head, and it's sad, but he went in there and killed a bunch of people. But like the 13-year-old in Chicago,
Brandon Scott Hole was his name.
Yes, I think he wasn't a black.
Years old.
That's the Indianapolis guy.
The Indianapolis guy, that was his name. He began firing randomly at people in the parking lot, killing 4 before entering the building.
Yeah, look, there's the names of the people right there. If you go back up a little, you see the names of everybody.
There it is. Wow.
Well, a couple people were quite old, man. 74 and 60 something, I think I saw.
Absolutely atrocious. But I mean, was he a disgruntled? Was he just a disgruntled employee? Like it doesn't seem like it was actually racially motivated. It sounds like it was like some dude that was just pissed off.
Who knows? Who knows, dude? I mean, because who knows?
You can't get into the mind of most of these people. Most of these people
dead
just
now,
do things.
Yeah,
this guy didn't survive. I think the cops got his ass.
No, he killed himself.
Oh no, he shot himself?
I believe so. I believe he shot himself.
Yeah, because I haven't heard much about this guy at all.
Yeah, I think he killed them. He killed a few out in the parking lot, and then he killed a few inside the building, and then killed himself.
Fucking lunatic.
Coward.
Damn. That is straight up cowardice, man, when you do that shit. How can you take not only are you going to take out other people around you,
but then not face the consequences,
but you're going to take your own self out because you done fucked up.
Yeah, he's a pussy. Piece of shit.
Well,
hey.
Well, and what gets me is that a year ago it was known how unstable this guy was over a year ago. But that
there
comes
was
down
no
to,
other.
But that comes
they
down,
went out there. They went out there. They checked it. There was no legally. There's nothing they can do.
Yeah, they can't really.
What I saw is there was nothing else for an entire year. Nothing. So it's like, this is just one of those situations. It'd be different if there was a bunch of chatter by this guy.
Yeah, if he was posting a bunch of crazy shit online or something, but there really was nothing leading up to this. It's just
he could have just been screwed up in the head, dude. Just screwed up in the head, and maybe at work, it wasn't racially motivated. It probably wasn't. It could have been, but who knows?
I mean, crazy people fucking exist. That's all there is to it.
he's a young kid. You know how kids get at work. I do it. I got young guys that work for me, and I'll get on to them, and they get mad at me. But, after they think about it a little bit, they're like, oh, this dude's right. It's like, bro, I'm not getting on to you for no reason. I'm getting on to you because, like, these are things that you need to know, and maybe he's just screwed up in the head. Somebody pissed him off at work, and that's all it took. Who knows?
Sometimes it's just a small, minor push to make someone move, and you never know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
I get why the news is, like, I don't know much about what his motivation was. The news, from what I can tell, is, like, heavily, just by the article we pulled up, they're heavily trying to push the race angle on it.
Of course.
It's like, dude, sometimes people just do crazy shit. It ain't got nothing to do with anything like that. It's like people just do fucking crazy ass things.
Well, even if
it was racially motivated, it's still
that's one person. Yeah, it's still fucked up, and that's one person that did that. That doesn't speak for everybody, and that's what they try to do. They're trying to paint the picture that all the white people out there are racist.
Yeah,
and it's not true. It's just simply not true. I of course this is cliche, but like, I have a lot of black friends personally myself. I've worked with quite a few of them, and they're great people, and they wouldn't look at me like they know, but they know me. They know that I'm not like that. So it's very disingenuous to have the actions of one person speak for everyone. It goes with the whole cop thing, like all the cop shit that's going on right now. Yeah, there's bad cops, but
trust me, we ran into quite a few of them when we were younger.
Yeah, the numbers that I heard were like 30 to 40 million police interactions with people every year, and there's only it was in the 20s was the actual times that cops shoot someone out of all those interactions. So it's happening. It seems like it's happening a lot more, but I think people are also looking for it right now too.
It always seems. Well, here's the thing. It always seems to be widespread. Because like it always seems to be like it's widespread, like it's happening everywhere and it's happening all the time because the media talks about it so much. So like when an incident occurs, the media will focus on that one incident and they'll talk about it for days. And then another one will pop up and they'll talk about it. And it's all about them chasing the views, they're chasing the ratings and the clicks because they know, okay, people are clicking and they are interested in watching this, so we're going to keep talking about more of these and providing more. And then you also do have incidents where you have like some cases you have copycat stuff, like remember back when Columbine happened, you had that school shooting, and then suddenly there was school shootings happening all over the fucking country, right? Suddenly there was like, kid brought a gun to school, kid brought this to school, kid did this at school, and it was like, well, it's only looking like that and you're only hearing more about it because that one incident occurred in Columbine, and now the news is talking about it widely everywhere else.
Right, so that event would have happened anyways, and you wouldn't have known about it. But now the news is, correct.
And that's the other thing. News travels so quickly now because now you've got instant connection, instant access to all sorts of information right at the tip of your fingers, right then and there. I can load Twitter up on my phone any minute now and find out what kind of crazy news just recently happened. I can do anything like that. And so when it spreads so fast, it sounds like this is happening everywhere. It's not everywhere. It's just a few areas or a few small places, and then that's it.
Correct. Like, James O'Keefe right now, Project Veritas, he's releasing those audio tapes. And on one of those audio tapes, the guy's saying that, we kept the death count on screen all the time to get people like scared of it, to keep people watching, wanting to know what's going on so we can make money. And we did the same thing with the Russian thing.
Yeah.
the whole Russian collusion in Ukraine, and then now they're saying they're going to move on to climate change will be the next big thing. Once this whole BLM stuff runs dry.
You know what it sounds like to me? I mean, I don't know if you are familiar with how things are done in like a boardroom meeting for like something in the entertainment industry, like Star Wars. Like everybody's sitting around, you got all the board members sitting around the table talking about, okay, well, what are we gonna do next for Star Wars? And they go, well, what's the trend that everybody's liking? Okay, we're gonna follow that. We're gonna keep pushing that. It sounds like that's what they're doing over at like a place like CNN. They're like, well, what's getting all of our views? Well, it looks like everybody likes hearing about COVID, so then we're just gonna spend the next 24 hours complaining and talking about COVID. Alrighty then. I mean,
that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's chasing the clicks and the views.
This time around, they've put it like on turbo. It's like they're really blasting it right now. And then at the same time, I think over the last, however many years, like 20 years, 30 years, whatever, the media has gotten so corporatized that what comes with that.
Yeah.
Lobbyists, all that stuff. And so now the government is basically, the media is steering the agenda for the government, for sure. Like, it is obvious that that's what they're doing right now. And that includes all your social media places too. They are steering the narrative big time.
Well, yeah, they definitely do that. And what's really bad about it is a lot of these faux stories. And here's the thing. A lot of those in Washington, like a lot of the politicians, the senators, the congressmen, whatever, congresswomen, whatever you want to call them, the Congress people. But we'll be inclusive tonight to the Congress people.
Congress assholes.
Yeah. But all of those people, like all of them, and all of our policymakers, they are paying attention to the news, and the news is writing whatever articles are out there, and they're not as privy to everything going on as well. Like, I always got this a lot when I was in the military. My mother would be like, so what's going on over there in Iraq? I'd be like, well, you know just about as fucking much as I do when you watch the news. And it's the same way
absolutely.
with them,
Absolutely.
Yeah, so they see the news, they see that stuff, and then they go, okay, well, I just saw this whole segment on Project Veritas, and now we're going to talk about it here in Congress because this is a big deal. So in a lot of ways, the news media really kind of also drives what's going on with our policymakers, because they'll get the bad information and roll with it when they go into the office the next day. It's pretty shitty.
You are correct, but I think the difference is this time is they're cooperating with each other now. Like they're calling each other now. See what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like instead of just feeding off each other, like they used to just feed off each other, but now I think they're calling each other, hey, you need to run this story. Like our government is telling them what to say, or the big billion-dollar tycoons are telling the government. You know what I mean? Like
somebody somewhere is calling the shots, and that's the thing about it. And to be honest with you, I don't think so much that the government is telling them what to say. I think it's more of the media themselves are painting it their way. Here's the biggest problem you have. You get a lot of people who are activists first, writers and journalists second. So they don't actually do their job. They push their activism first. I mean, this is stuff that I complained about all the time on my other channel when we talk about the whole SJW thing and everything. You get these people, they come in, and their focus is not, in media, or in news media. Their focus is more focused on not telling the truth or the facts, but skewing and writing it in an entertaining way to get viewers to read it. And since the person that's writing it is usually an activist first and a journalist second, they're putting their main agenda and their main thoughts front and center first, and a lot of times they pass them off like they're actual facts when they're not facts. They're just bullshit for the most part, or mostly just opinions. And they try to dress their opinions like there's some types of sets of facts. I mean, I found this, like, I heard this when I was watching the Tim Pool thing. They were talking about Project Veritas. They pulled up his Wikipedia, and the first thing it says is that, James O'Keefe is an alt-right, blah, blah, blah. And to believe it. And the thing is to call somebody that, when you call somebody alt-right, or you want to call somebody, like an Antifa person, like a radical leftist, that is actually considered to be an opinion, not a fact.
Yes.
Because what one could believe is an alt-right person may not be an alt-right person to another person. If that makes any sense, what I'm saying.
Well, he had Poole had the guy. There's two guys that created WikiLeaks, not WikiLeaks, but
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia. There's two dudes that created it, and Poole had on one of the creators.
Yeah, he had the whole one of the co-creators on there. I know who you're talking about. That was an interesting conversation to listen to them talk about.
Very interesting. But this is a good segue to move on, but because all this crap that's going on right now. Like, look at that link I sent you of some of those executive orders. Like,
the executive order thing. Yeah,
meanwhile, while we're paying attention to all this stuff, we got all this crap going on in the background that they're passing through or attempting to pass through,
Yeah. So you wanted to go through this. We have ourselves.
Let's just glance over it. I haven't read any of it. There's ones that I've heard of, so
yeah, we're not going to read the full executive order. It's just we're going to go through the list, and if we see one that pops that we're like, okay, what the hell is that? We'll click on it, we'll look at it and read it and find out it's more of what it is. But it looks like they do a good job with a summary of what they are.
Well, look at the second one. The second one right there, establishment of the Presidential Commission on the Supreme Court. Look at that one. That might have to do with...
Is that the one about stacking the courts?
I don't know.
No, wait.
That's recent. That's recent.
Wait, no, that was a thing that was pushed recently. Like, they're pushing bills forward right now to try to add more justices to the Supreme Court. And yeah, they're heavily trying to push the whole stacking the courts thing. Hey! It's fucking Toku.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Man, I've been trying to get a hold of you all week, man. Where the hell you been?
Oh, wait. Have you sent me a DM or anything?
Dude, I've been sending... I send messages to this Discord all the time. We've been calling you out all the time, dude.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't check that more than my bad.
I figured you were just busy banging your girlfriend or something.
Well, there has been some family stuff going on in the background, so I've kind of been, like, running around like a chicken with my head cut off. But, yeah, no, I'll make a point to try to check it more. My bad, dude.
Well, I hope you're doing okay, and I hope everything is all right in the family department. I don't want anything bad happening to the family. But welcome. Yeah, we are just discussing the executive orders. We're looking at the list of executive orders. The link is in our Discord right now, so if you want to look at that to know what we're talking about. But we're going over that right now.
Well, we have no idea what we're talking about. We're trying to
understand these things. Like, you might already know more about them.
Like, here's one right here: guaranteeing an educational environment free from discrimination on the basis of sex, including sexual orientation or gender identity. That's an executive order.
That was one of the more recent ones, was it not?
Yeah, go down. It's EO 14021.
All right. Well, let me. I'm fixing the layout of the stream so everybody can see what we're looking at here.
The one before that is establishment of the White House Gender Policy Council.
Okay, so which one did you want me to look at here? Is the guaranteeing an educational environment? All right, let me click that
whichever one,
and we'll look at it.
Whichever one you want. I think we know what that says.
Guaranteeing an educationals and an educational environment free from discrimination on the basis of sex, including sexual orientation or gender identity. I'm pretty sure we have a good idea what this one is. Policy.
Yeah, actually, I found a better one that would be better. 14019, promoting access to voting.
Promoting access to voting. I see what you wanted to say. I see ya.
That might be a better one to look at.
All right,
because
well,
we know what the gender stuff is going to be about.
Yeah, that's going to basically be like, yeah, they can't discriminate if a person's like trans or something like that.
I can tell you what the access to voting one is right now. It's going to be against voting ID law.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The right to vote is a foundation of American democracy.
Okay, that's nothing new.
Policy. It is the policy of my administration to promote and defend the right to vote for all Americans who are legally entitled to participate in elections. It is the responsibility of the federal government to expand access to and education about voter registration and election information and to combat misinformation in order to enable all eligible Americans to participate in our democracy. Expanding access to voter registration and election information agencies shall consider ways to expand citizens' opportunities to register to vote and to obtain information about and participate in the electoral process. A. The head of each agency shall evaluate ways in which the agency can, as appropriate, is consistent with applicable promote. Oh man, this is so much information. I have no idea what the fuck we're reading.
I mean, neither, dude. That's what they do, dude. They stack these things like it's like Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, it's actually, like, can you give me a freaking TLDR? Good God.
Yeah, for the cliff notes.
Like I see ensuring equal access for voters with disability. I see
voter for active duty military overseas and citizens. Why do we need an executive order of this? I'm guaranteed there must be something in there about like the voter IDs.
Here it is: expanding access to voter registration and election information. Agencies shall consider ways to expand citizens' opportunities to register to vote and to obtain information about and participate in the electoral process. The head of each agency shall evaluate ways in which the agency can, as appropriate and consistent with the applicable, that's a crazy word, law, promote voter registration and voter participation. And then
okay, so
yeah, that stuff they're joking.
Yeah,
that's what that is.
So what they're doing is they're making it easier for to not ballot harvest, but there's another term for sending out like mass registration, but it's basically it's basically the same thing as ballot harvesting. The other thing that I find interesting in that is the spread of information about voting. So basically what they're doing is they're federalizing voting. So they're taking power outside of the state's hands and trying to put it into the hands of the federal government. They've been doing that for
they've been trying to do that for years.
So that's what this executive order is. It's just an attempt to even if just by a little bit, they're expanding power into the hands of the federal government. And they'll probably use it to push propaganda. I guarantee it.
Yeah, here goes ways to facilitate seamless transition from agencies' websites directly to state online voter registration systems or appropriate federal websites such as vote.gov, ways to provide access to voter registration services and vote by mail ballot applications in the course of activities or services that directly engage with the public.
There it is.
Yeah, I mean, oh man, dude. We knew this was coming. The scary part is they got a lot of power right now, and a lot of this stuff can actually be implemented. A lot of it is already implemented, like the whole Georgia voting thing. What they did there was really just everything that was already implemented. They left alone, but they extended like the deadlines, which was better for everybody. Like, hey, dude, now instead of us closing at 5, we're going to close at 9 at night. Like we're giving you more time to come in and vote. But they kept the actual.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
They kept the actual cutoff date for voting as it's supposed to be per the Constitution,
Yeah.
So they've been doing this for a few years now. I still go back. I don't know if Trump would have won the election or not. I don't know. But there was definitely shenanigans going on. There was shenanigans going on back in 2018. They were doing the same thing. People can go out there and start searching Stacey Abrams. And if you start looking at the moves that she was making back in 2018, and also the stuff that Elizabeth Warren was doing back in 2018, and I think Mazie Hirono was the other one, they were against the voting laws that they now fight for. So it's very interesting, and that was only 2 years ago, or it'd be like 3 years ago now. But people have short memory spans, dude. Real short memory spans. They don't remember this stuff, and if you did, a lot of you'd see right through the bullshit. It's getting me angry.
Well, that's the reason they have the 24-hour news cycles. They want to bombard you with information constantly, so you don't remember things from 3 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Their chatter, I'm back on the main page looking at other ones.
Oh, yeah, I'm going back right now. Sorry, I was texting my son to go grab me something. Let's see.
Here's a good one. Go to 14008. Tackling the climate crisis at home and abroad.
Oh, Lord. This one sounds like it's going to be a little bit of a wild one. Let's take a look at this bad boy.
It's freaking 15 pages long.
Yeah, well, I ain't reading 15 pages of this shit. I can only stand it.
Right there, part 1 in big bold letters.
Part 1, putting the climate crisis at the center of United States foreign policy and national security. Policy, United States international engagement to address climate change, which has become a climate crisis. That's a bit of a stretch there, Reed Richards. Is more necessary and urgent than ever. The scientific community has made clear that the scale and speed of necessary action is greater than previously believed. There is little time left to avoid setting the world on a dangerous, potentially catastrophic climate trajectory. Responding. Yeah, this sounds like some sounds like some fucking not just doom and gloom. This sounds like some fucking fear-mongering shit. Responding to the climate crisis will require both significant short-term global reductions in greenhouse gas emissions and net zero global emissions by mid-century or before.
Yeah, well, it goes to like what we were talking about last night, Chatter. Remember, we were talking about like just the Earth in general and how old shit is, and
yeah, it's just the thing about the Earth is like it purifies itself over and over and over again, and I mean, do humans affect the climate and things like that? Well, yeah. I mean, we've made animals go extinct. We've screwed up some things. Like we were talking about last night. What was it? Was the area where the fish aren't breeding because of women using birth control, and since their piss is going into the sewer and then the sewer's going out into the water supply, or the river or whatever, it's causing chemicals.
It's causing the fish to either swap genders or make it to where they're fertile. Like they can't. They got no seed, no spermies or whatever.
Or it could be in some cases that they're putting chemicals in the water to turn the frickin' frogs gay.
They're turning frogs gay.
Frickin' fish frogs into.
They're demons. There's no other explanation. They're demons.
Yeah. Actually, do you guys remember the BP oil spill?
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, you remember there was actually a discovery of a bacterium that actually eats oil.
Oh yeah, it goes into the gray. That gets into like the gray goo theory. Like they were scared to release that because of the gray goo theory.
Yeah,
what's the gray goo theory?
Oh, you don't know the gray goo theory?
I might know. I don't know. Take it easy.
Don't
yell at me.
Oh, okay. So it's a very, very interesting theory. Let me bring it up, but it's a very interesting theory. No, I don't want to look up Grey Goose. It's
I can't look at these executive orders anymore. This gives me a headache.
It gives me a headache as well. Okay, so the Grey Goo theory, and I'll read it out loud. I'm gonna go to the Wikipedia because that should give us a good rundown. The Grey Goo theory is a hypothetical global catastrophic scenario involving molecular nanotechnology in which out-of-control self-replicating machines consume all biomass on Earth while building more of themselves. A scenario that has been called ecophagy, whatever, eating the environment, more literally, eating the habitation. The original idea assumed machines were designed to have the capability, while popularizations have assumed that machines might somehow gain this capability by accident. So, like, basically the idea is, okay.
Yeah, I get the idea.
Yeah, so these machines could replicate themselves as they eat biomass. In other words, eating animals, plants, and bio-organic material. And
like some
eventually they just take over everything. Like, I would say Doku knows this, but you probably don't know the game. But have you ever heard of the game called Horizon Zero Dawn?
No.
It's built off, the whole story behind that is built off that same theory, where these machines were, like, this AI is basically grown sentient, and the machines are able to manufacture themselves, and they fuel themselves by eating biomass. So they would basically started eating. They got so out of control they just ate all of the Earth's organic material and left it as a lifeless husk at some point.
Dude,
well, that was basically the. Did you ever watch Stargate?
I've watched Stargate.
Yeah, dude, that's what I was just thinking of, dude. That's exactly what I was just thinking of.
Yep, it's the replicators from Stargate, where it's just self-replicating machines that just go around, just consume, reproduce, consume.
They look like little spiders and shit.
Yep.
Yeah, but they only consume metal though, wasn't it? It was like, or any technology that's more advanced than theirs.
Yeah, in this case, it would be all organic, everything organic. They would actually eat.
Right. Yeah. Because like so basically, Chatter, if like you were your technology was below their technology, they would just go right by you. You know, like they wouldn't worry about it. So to kill them, they had to wind up using like old guns, like shotguns and shit like that. You know?
Yeah,
it was.
I remember. I think I saw that episode. It's been years though since I've watched all of SG-1. I got to go back and watch that show again. I love
that's hilarious, Doku. That's the first thing I thought of was the replicators. Yeah.
I mean,
and then Star Trek's got quite a few episodes over the different Star Treks where some kind of species will come and start eating the Enterprise and growing.
Well, I would say the Borg, but the Borg is more like assimilation. It's all about assimilation.
But. Yeah, the Borg is a little different, but there's a couple of episodes where like some kind of species gets in the Enterprise and starts feeding off of it, like its electrical systems and. Starts growing and taking over shit.
Well, I mean, another one or another example me and Doku know quite well because we're both Warhammer fans is the Tyranids, because that's what they do is they go from like planet to planet and they eat up all the biomass and organic material so that they can. It allows them to make more organic type material utilizing the genetic makeup of whatever, but they just do that. They go from planet to planet eating everything and leaving nothing but like dry husks of planets behind. They're just barren with and they don't even have an atmosphere left to them and shit.
Yeah, even the metal in the air they consume.
Yeah, they consume everything. It's ridiculous. They call it the cancer of the galaxy or something like that.
Oh, the Great Devourer.
That's it, the Great Devourer. No, it's Chaos they call the cancer. They call Chaos the cancer, but yeah. But
so that's what that theory is. So why were we talking about that to begin with?
Because
the bacterium eating oil during the BP oil spill. Because you guys were saying, the Earth has a way of balancing itself out when certain things happen. I mean, Some species thrive in areas that we would consider toxic. Some things eat oil. Some things actually only survive when there's high levels of carbon dioxide, CO2 in the air. I mean, hell, we have bacterium that live on volcanic vents in the ocean's floor and pressure that would crush most submersibles. So,
absolutely.
The one thing about the whole climate change thing that I point out to people is, do you really think that human beings, as intelligent as we are you arrogant enough to think that we understand the entire workings of the Earth and how things evolve and how they adapt to different types of climate and conditions when we don't even know what the hell is at the bottom of our own oceans?
Yeah, it's ridiculous because, I mean, when you look back at, like, if you look at the history of the Earth, you go all the way back to even to the time of the dinosaurs and stuff. Excuse me. The Earth's habitat, the Earth's climate, is nowhere near the same as it is now. It's changed rapidly multiple different times. It has its own way of not only balancing itself out, but purifying itself and cleaning itself. And I mean, like, the BP oil spill is like a big part of that too, because they managed to clean most of the oil up, but they didn't have to release something like that to get rid of that. And now that spill's not there anymore. It takes time. It takes time. The Earth moves slowly, but we are getting to that point where we're seeing changes. I mean, at some point, part of California is likely going to break off or sink into the ground because of, like, the San Andreas fault and stuff like that.
Yeah,
the Earth does change on its own, but we do influence some change in some ways.
The problem with that is our concept of time versus Earth's time that it's been here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you got no clue what 1,000 years feels like. You don't have no clue what 500 years feels like.
Well, I mean, we don't even know how old the Earth really is either.
I mean, California could fall off, but it could be 50 years from now, but it could be 5,000 years from now. It could be 20,000 years from now. Who knows?
I mean, even in human history, there was still recorded human history. There's still a mini ice age, which technically we're overdue for if we're going by what the science would say. So it's like, okay, where's that? Maybe
I hear some scientists say that we're in it right now.
And it's possible. I mean, we saw the Texas freeze. I mean, we could be on the precipice of one.
Yeah, or coming out of one, or I just don't think. I think that like Chatter said, like we don't have it figured, or actually Doku, we don't have anything figured out. We think we do, based on what we've observed.
Yeah.
I mean, if you consider the power of nature, I mean, human beings have an impact, sure, but I mean, the entire human race trying to fight against the force of just Mother Nature is, a monumental undertaking, to say the least. Yeah, it's arrogant. It's like,
you're not going to win.
How many movies have we seen this play out and it never ends well?
No.
Yeah, that's probably one of the most dangerous things humans could try to do is actually influence nature and weather patterns and things like that. Like, we've been trying to do that for ages now, and look at how successful we've been. I guarantee if we could build a chronosphere, we would have done it. Like, if we could build a weather control machine, we would have done it. I mean, there's plenty of people talking about HARP and seeding clouds and all that type of stuff.
Well, I mean, they talk about. Go ahead.
Remember when the Chinese, they were talking about the Olympics there, and the Chinese were like, "Oh, don't worry about it. We change weather." Remember when they said that? Don't worry about it. We change the weather.
I'm like, wait, what? No, but like, yeah. Well, go ahead. I was going to say something.
Well, it happened like years ago. The Olympics were going to be there, and I think it was something to do with the weather that was going to be bad or something. And one of the Chinese representatives just said that. Don't worry about it. We control the weather. Is what he said.
Well, I mean, one of the things that you got to think about, is we're talking about right now, like Elon Musk with SpaceX and even NASA. They're talking about, eventually building a base on Mars and putting people over there, living there and working and functioning in that planet, right? But they've talked about how to come to the concept of stuff like terraforming, if you know what terraforming is.
Oh yeah.
Trying to just go and change a planet's complete atmosphere and environment to make it work for humankind to live on.
Thousands of years it would take to do that,
But I mean, we talked about that. Like we humans are some arrogant bastards that think we could actually land on a fucking planet and change that planet for the better so that we can live on it.
I mean, it can be done. It can be done. But the time frame that it would take to do that, especially, we don't even have the technology to even get there right now. So it is very extremely arrogant. It's like we're way ahead of ourselves, which is good, because that's what thrives, ingenuity and creation and all that junk, But I say let's go to the moon first. Like, it's right there.
Well, what we need to do...
let's put some shit on the moon first.
Well, what we need to do for Mars is we need to send Arnold Schwarzenegger to Mars. And he has to drill... Yes. He's got to work with them, and he's got to drill down underneath the surface to release... to melt the glacier underneath Mars to give...
Release the pressure.
Yeah, to give Mars an atmosphere. I hope somebody gets the reference I'm going with here.
Yeah, and we'll put a tracker up his butt so we'll know what he's doing at all times. Right?
Exactly.
I'm not sure if you were making a Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood reference or if you were making
you, Benny.
Both. There was some Total Recall reference in there too.
That was the other one I was thinking was Total Recall.
Total Recall.
Relieve the pressure. Yeah.
Oh God, I love that movie.
And hell, soon we're going to be living in Blade Runner.
Oh shit,
dude, we're practically already there. You know what's scary? We need to get back on track. But what's scary is, I was reading the lore, or I wasn't really reading it, but I was watching like a video on YouTube about the lore behind that Cyberpunk game, and the thing about it is a lot of it's very heavily close to like reality, because it's all about corporations taking control of everything. And to the point where they're having like corporate militaries that are fighting wars with each other. Like, can you imagine if like Coca-Cola fought a war with fucking Pepsi with soldiers and shit? It's like crazy shit like that.
We're getting close.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, well, this is a good breakaway here. So you two guys, y'all are in the same state, and check this out. Pull this one up, chatter. The Texas Tribune org. This conservative carry.
Oh, the one for the one that you just did, the Texas one, right?
Yeah, because that kind of goes with the whole cyberpunk thing and all that. And
just real quick, since we were on this before we segue out, did you guys see Blade Runner 2049?
I never saw it, honestly. I never saw the original Blade Runner, actually.
Yeah, I've only seen the original.
Oh, damn, because I was going to say the whole AI system in Blade Runner 2049, VTubers. That's literally what it is. Blade Runner for 2049 predicted VTubers.
Wow, really?
No.
I'm not even joking. I'm not kidding.
Well, this bill that they're going to push through, I think it's already gone through our House here in Texas, and now it's got to go to our...
I'm pulling it up right now.
But our lieutenant governor is kind of opposing it a little bit. He's not like against it, but he's kind of thinking it's not a good idea.
Okay, so let's look at this. Texas House.
I think the same law. Sorry, there, Chatter. I think the same law applies in y'all state, I believe, or it's similar.
I'd have to research this one, but it's Texas House has approved a bill that would allow handguns to be carried without a permit, marking a win for gun rights activists who have for years pushed the measure at the legislature, but a blow to El Paso Democrats who have been fighting for gun safety measures since 2019 massacre in their hometown.
Yeah, they got a lot of border issues going on down there.
Yeah. Initial approval came Thursday, 84 to 56 vote after several hours, and some of the most emotionally charged. House bill spearheaded by Representative Matt Schaefer from Tyler, Texas. Republican Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
I know,
Right
Tyler.
up the road.
Yeah.
Right up the road.
Would mix the requirement for Texas residents to obtain a license to carry handguns if they are not prohibited by state or federal law from possessing a gun. Texans under current state law must generally be licensed to carry handguns either openly or concealed.
So two things, and then I'll see what you guys think. I think, number one, this is a middle finger to Joe Biden. That's number one. Texas has already done it a couple of times now, kind of passing some of these bills. Just the timing of it seems like it. They're giving a middle finger to Biden. And also, with everything going on right now, this is kind of like maybe Texas's way of kind of sending a message out to say, like we're going to start allowing our citizens to carry, like we don't want no trouble here,
Don't come starting shit.
Yeah, and a kind of a way to send a message out to the Texan citizens saying, arm up or whatever. Not saying that we're preparing for war or nothing like that, but it's just like little slow moves, like we were talking last night about some of the Civil War stuff and all the little moves that they started making before it actually popped off, and that's what we're in right now. I feel like little parts of it, the states are starting to turn on each other. Some states are starting to partner up, those kind of things. That's just kind of my idea on it. I think it's great because I can carry my pistol in my car now and not have to worry about, where, I got to have it in the glove compartment or I have to have it behind the seat, or I don't have to worry about that anymore, which is great for me.
Well,
I know there was.
Go ahead,
Sorry, go ahead.
Doku. I'll go after you. Go ahead, man.
Okay, I know there was a lawsuit. I forget what state it was in, but someone got charged with illegal brandishing of a firearm because they were essentially open carrying. I think they were like 24, 25, something like that, and they were open carrying a handgun just on their hip, and it went to court. And essentially, what the verdict was is that look, it wasn't a concealed carry, which did require a permit, but there's no permit to open carry, and the guy was above age, so it's like, okay, he's old enough to own a handgun, he's old enough to carry a handgun. Like, what? That's the point, It's not supposed to just stay at your house locked in. If you're carrying it for self-defense and it's open, it's clearly visible to everybody.
Correct.
It's not brandishing, so there's no permit law in place or anything like that. So the guy didn't break the law, which is kind of what this sounds like. Is essentially you're making it more difficult for someone to be able to carry a weapon for self-defense if it's open, and it's also a way that you can tax people, and essentially like the same way they complain about poll taxes, it decreases your accessibility for self-defense.
Well, to me, this is the opposite, dude. Because look, they're saying that it would allow you to carry it without having a permit. Like,
that's perfect.
Yeah, because here in Texas,
so
right now you have to have a permit in Texas. You have to have a permit to carry open carry or concealed carry. But you can have a handgun in your vehicle because that's considered your property. But you have to have it, like you can't have it underneath your seat. It has to be either out in the open or it has to be like in your glove box. And I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. And so don't hold me to the fire. But this is saying you can now have a gun without having to have a permit if you're legally, if you're legal beaver about having the gun, which means like you don't have any felonies, anything like that. And you legally purchased the firearm, you can now carry it around without having to have any kind of permits, which is a good thing. I mean, it's not a bad thing. But it just seems weird that they're doing that now, with everything that's going on, And I think y'all state does it. And I think I heard 2 or 3 other states are already doing this.
I have to look into our state if we have open carry. I wouldn't be surprised if other states, mainly Republican states, are pushing for this same type of bill. But I get where you're coming from and how it's so weirdly, it's weird how it's so, sudden. Like, it's weird. The timing of it is strange. So what I think, though, when I see this, is I think that, one, you're right. I think it is a middle finger to Biden. I think they're basically saying, "Screw you, Biden. You don't get to tell us or push your gun control stuff or whatever." Right. But the other thing is, and we talked about this last night before when we were preparing for the stream. The other thing that gets me about it is when you look at what's going on throughout the country in different areas, mainly Democrat states and whatever, like, you've got Portland, Oregon, you got what's going on in Minneapolis, and then in other places where they're doing their demonstrations, as they might call them, or their peaceful protests where they throw a lot of bricks and break a lot of windows, and there's a lot of looting and burning and fires and
peacefully though.
It's all done peacefully, Yes. This to me is we're going to allow our citizens to openly carry a weapon without having to get a permit. We're making it easy so that if they want to carry a weapon and brandish it, they are going to be able to carry the weapon. And they don't have to. This is making it easy for everybody to carry their weapon around and protect themselves. Basically, sending a message to people like what happens in Kenosha, what happens in Minneapolis, that don't bring that shit to our neighborhood because you aren't going to be happy with the results of what you did. And there's a reason why I say it's
a fear factor.
Well, it's a fear factor. It's a deterrent. And the other thing is in a lot of these places where the rioting and the peaceful protesting is occurring, in a lot of those places, it's not those towns and those cities' own people that are doing it all. It's a lot of people traveling to there to have their little protests. And yes, there's people.
Yeah,
of course, there's people in the town that live there that are involved with it. Of course, but that's one thing they found. There's a lot of like when Antifa shows up to do things, they found that most of these people are traveling cross country to do their protesting and do their bullshit, and that's where it devolves from there. And this is basically saying, bring that shit here, and you're gonna get shot.
Yeah, well, that's what I like about living here. I guarantee you in my neighborhood, probably 99% of the homes in my neighborhood, there's a firearm in that home. Guarantee you that, and that's a good feeling to know that, because
absolutely,
that's a big time deterrent, dude. Big time deterrent.
Well, all the defund the police people, they should actually support something like this, because if you believe there's police violence or you believe there's systemic racism or this or that, it's like, okay, put self-defense back into the hands of the citizens so you don't have to worry about the cops. There you go. But
the problem with that, I think, is that's going to open up even more conflicts.
It will.
More. That kind of, dude, I'm pro Second Amendment, but there are like certain things that worry me about it. With this law, I remember a few years back, Texas did the open carry thing when it first came up, and you had to go get your license and you could open carry. And at the time, you couldn't do that in Texas. And you of course, you got the rednecks, dude, that go and immediately do it, right? And so walking through Walmart, like, bro, I'd see people with dude, I saw dudes with revolvers, dude, like in cowboy boots, and my mind I start wondering, and I'm thinking, like, that's Wild Wild West right there. That's crazy. But we got used to it. But those people also had to go through like certain courses. They had to take tests, extensive background checks to be able to carry this gun. So it didn't bother me as much. But now it's like anybody, as long as you're not a felon, which we know if you're a felon, you're gonna carry a gun anyways if you want to. Like,
well, I mean, a criminal's gonna
breaking the law, right?
Yeah, a criminal's gonna break the law no matter what. They don't care.
Yeah, if you're a criminal, like most, there are felons out there that do turn their life around. I know a few of them, and they're great people. But knowing the fact that anyone could be carrying one now, so it's a good thing knowing that anyone could carry a gun, and I don't have to worry about them because I can also carry a gun. But at the same time, now everyone's carrying a gun, which opens up more chances of conflict happening, more chances of, right now people get mad at each other and they fight.
Okay.
But when you got guns, now somebody's going to get shot.
Well,
or it increases the chances of that happening. That's what worries me.
Sorry, I thought you were done talking. I didn't mean to.
No, I'm done. I'm done. Sorry.
But no,
you're good.
I would argue that two things. One, they're not making concealed carry. They're not making concealed carry in this case. So you still have to go through a process to be able to conceal. To conceal it. Open carry.
I thought I read that.
We'd have to look into it, but from what I'm gathering is, because they're saying specifically open carry. Open carry means you have to have it on you where people can see that you are armed. Concealed carry means you don't have to show it. You don't have to show that you have a weapon. You can pull the
weapon. So open carry has to be holstered and visible.
Yeah, it's got to be seen. So they know what you're doing.
So far. Yeah, that's
so far.
What it says.
So it's, from what I'm gathering, is concealed carry is still got a process that you have to go through. So you still have to go through all the tests, the certifications, and get the license to conceal carry. Which, one, that works in many ways, because now you're saying that, anybody who's going to carry a gun is open carry. They're more honest, because now everybody has a weapon. You're in my mind, you are actually less likely to see more conflict because of the fact that everybody is open carry. Everybody knows if this person's carrying a weapon and I mess with them, this dude could pull out his weapon at any time if he says he feels threatened and fire. Now, granted, we have a lot of laws in place, with self-defense, the castle doctrines, and all that stuff that makes it hazy that when you pull that weapon and fire it, you better make sure that you're pulling it to fire it because you truly are under threat and under duress. Otherwise, you're responsible for that firing or that bullet that came out of that weapon that kills somebody. Dude, you're responsible for that.
Check this out. It also offered an amendment that would have lowered the minimum age of permitless carry from 21 to 18 years old.
I like that, actually.
I don't mind that, because if you're old enough to go to war, you should be old enough to have beer. You should be old enough to keep
through it. I don't. Yeah, I agree.
And just
I'm looking
to touch
through
on
it,
what,
so I'm thinking it's just open carry, because I don't see anything. They're basically just saying permitless carry.
Yeah,
that's basically the word that keeps popping up.
Yeah, because
if you want to conceal, then you're probably still going to have to get the proper documentation for it.
Well, and this brings into my next point is it's like you have, and part of you says that I'm a little bit more afraid that we might see more crazy stuff happen because of it. But you got to think though, people want to conserve their life as much as possible. They want to protect themselves as much as possible. So you have less likely chance that somebody's going to start some BS and start a fight because
I agree with
they
you.
all know that.
I agree.
And here's the other thing. You'll see less, there's probably a reason why you don't see too many mass shootings in Texas. And granted, they've happened. Don't get me wrong, they've happened. Especially with Fort Hood. We all know about Fort Hood. But here's the thing.
Usually it's a civilian that takes the shooter out, though. Usually.
Yes, but here is the thing, though. When it came to Fort Hood, where was this an incident? This was in a military hospital when this happened. A military base, you're not allowed to openly carry a weapon on a military base. You're not allowed that because that's military property. That's federal government property. So you can't do that there. You got to think.
I agree with what you're saying. I totally agree with that. But my fear is like a better example would be like weed. So if Texas was to legalize weed, my problem with that is there's a lot of people that are going to be smoking it that don't have any business smoking that shit. You know what I mean? Like, think about driving. Like, now there's going to be a lot more people, and the chances of them being stoned and acting stupid is increased big time just because it's legal now. Well, there's a lot of people that don't do it because of the simple fact that it's illegal. you know.
Well, let's
And
let's
it'd
be
be the
honest.
same way with guns.
Yeah. Well, let's be honest here.
But
if I have to
something you
ride
gotta
in a
live
car
with.
with somebody who's on something, I would much rather be in a car with somebody smoking weed than somebody drinking a beer. Okay.
Yeah, I don't disagree on that one. Like back in my high
Oh,
school
you haven't
days when I used to be stupid,
Well,
you haven't
I've driven
with
high
me.
before. I've driven high before, and I can guarantee you the worst thing that happened is I was going 10 miles below the speed limit.
It's like playing a video game, huh? When
Well,
you're driving.
well, here's the other thing about it. Now I get what you're saying. You're just like, well, now you've got this open carry thing, so now you got a lot of chances of people who really shouldn't be carrying weapons. Well, you still have to go through the legal process of purchasing the weapon, right? You still got to go through all those processes.
Well, not in Texas. Like I've bought several guns from person to person. Like you could do that legally.
You have
in Texas.
the private sales, but I'm talking about like if you're gonna go buy a brand new weapon, you still have.
You don't have to
process.
register it.
No, you don't have to.
Well, yeah. If you go buy a brand new one, but you don't have to. You know, I mean, you can get a gun pretty easily in Texas legally. You know, but hey, I'm not anti-gun. I like this bill. I think it's a good deterrent. I agree with it, but it just worries me a little bit.
It worries you because it makes you wonder if something big is coming. And the reality is I don't think that's the case. I think the case is it's just that sign of saying, we've got all these riots happening all over the country in different areas. Don't you dare come here with that shit. And multiple states are doing this, and I would understand why multiple states are doing this, because they're saying the same is you're not going to bring your garbage to our fucking state. You're not going to do this shit here.
Well, the other thing I noticed in this bill, when it comes to open carry, again, the weapon has to be visible and it has to be holstered, but there's nothing in that bill about making it easier to brandish a weapon, because as soon as that weapon comes out, you better intend to either put it away, lock it in a safe, or do something with it, or you better intend to be firing at something that is a legitimate threat to your life. So there's nothing about brandishing in it. So that could even just taking it out of the holster in public could get you hit with a very very rough charge.
You guys chat. I'll be right back.
Which is a good thing. Because you're gonna have idiots out there. Hey man, look at my gun. That's the stuff that I worry about. That's what I'm talking about is idiots. That are gonna just be stupid about it. And
that's the other thing too. That's the other thing too with carrying like that. Like if it was just in your waistband, that would be considered brandishing, I believe, because it's not properly holstered and it's not. Even if it was visible, it's not properly holstered, so it's considered brandishing the weapon as opposed to carrying it. So. I'm perfectly I think what's the popular term now? Constitutional carry?
Yeah, that's basically what it is. I think they named it common sense carry is the.
Maybe that's the one I'm thinking of. But yeah, like this bill has nothing in it about brandishing a weapon.
So it's called. I think those laws are already on the books because you can't do that now. Like okay, so I can have a firearm in my house, right? But I can't come outside and discharge that firearm. I'll get in trouble for that. I believe I don't think it's a felony or anything like that. I think it's just a misdemeanor, but they'll probably take my weapon from me and stuff like that. Now, if I'm defending myself, that's a different ball game in Texas. But there's all kinds of like rules and stuff. I think there's rules to if you engage them inside. If they make it out of your house, there's like a little fine line there to whether it be legal or not. And I don't know. I'm just going off of things that I hear. Because to me personally, I don't feel like I need to carry a weapon. Now, I carry a pistol in my car, but it's only because of where I work. I kind of drive in a little. It's not the ghetto, but people get robbed over there. So
talking about the village?
No, like South Houston.
Oh.
I only carry the pistol in my vehicle because sometimes I might have to get gas and I work the night shift and stuff like that. That's the only reason why I carry it. But I mean, to go to Walmart just to have to carry a pistol while you're at Walmart. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous to me, you know. But then again, the area I live in is not that bad. You know, I'm sure it's bad in other areas, you know. But a lot of crazy shit going on, man.
Well, and what Chatter was saying just earlier, if there's actually statistics to back this up, in towns and regions that actually have open carry without a permit, you actually see the rate of gun crime and gun violence and lethal shootings go down because, well, if you assume that everybody is armed, people generally tend to be a bit more cautious before they start shit.
Yes, yes.
Well, I mean, that comes from, a lot of that even comes from my military experience, you know. One of the things that they taught us all the time when we were going through, like, our training on anti-terrorism and stuff like that was that, you know, how to know what target is likely going to be the next target is you're looking at what are the soft targets, you know. An attacker is not going to go for a place like, for instance, an attacker's not going to attack a police station because they know damn well they're going to get shot to hell before they even get near the police station, right?
Right, unless you're Arnold.
Yeah, unless you're Arnold.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Arnold or Sylvester Stallone. One of the two. But, however, there's a reason you see mostly gun-free zones that get attacked more often. And that's because there's the path to least resistance right there. People know that if they go to, say, a school, you know, and they brandish their weapon and start firing at people, they know that the only people that are going to be able to react are the police. That nobody else in that room is going to have a weapon or an ability to fight back. They know this.
Which is touchy, man. Like, I don't like the whole should a teacher have a gun with them in the classroom? You know, like, I don't disagree with any of this stuff. It's just the whole concept of it is what weirds me out a little bit. You know, it's like,
well, the more you allow it, I mean, you're definitely increasing the chances of something happening. Just because, you know, by volume, there's by volume there's more people. So if there's more people open carrying weapons, the chances of something happening are going to go up just because you're increasing the amount of people that are actually opening and carrying a weapon. At the same time, though,
you're decreasing on the other end.
Yeah, you're increasing the probability of it going up, but statistically, it actually should go down because the only time you'll see things like this happen is like what Chatterer was saying, in areas where people aren't allowed to carry. So like a school or at a bar, you'll see things, or you'll see shootings in areas like that go up. But in general society, like per capita, you would actually expect to see a decrease in gun crime and violence, just because the simple fact that the person who's about to do something illegal, as long as it's, you know, someone doesn't have a complete mental break, which, yeah, that's going to happen. It's inevitable. It could happen just as easily without open carry. But in this instance, you'll see it go down just because the criminal is going to go to areas where their likelihood of getting shot would decrease, which means it's somewhere where the people aren't armed.
But that doesn't like the thought factor of that doesn't bother y'all. The fact that a teacher would be carrying a pistol while they're teaching class.
To be honest,
no, actually, it doesn't.
Well,
it's just weird. It's just weird to me. You know, maybe it's just because of my experience. You know, it's like that's a place of learning, not a place of where you need to.
Hold on, Smith man. Let me bring this.
I'm not saying I disagree with it. That's not what I'm saying.
No, I get you.
The whole thought of it just kind of bothers me. It's just, you know, it's fucked up, is what it is.
It's weird. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. I mean,
no, go ahead. I'm sorry,
but no, it's weird to you because it's not something you've ever seen done before. Since we were kids, we've never been to a situation where, one, we've never seen gun violence happen within our school system when we were going through school. We thankfully we never had an incident like that occur, and we never had to know if our teachers would have to carry a weapon or not. And it's weird to us because we've never had that experience. We've never had to see that. It's new to us. And
it's weird. it's weird because society has come to that point where a teacher has to carry a gun. That's the part that bothers me.
And I agree with that. I understand that, and that is bothersome. However, I will say that, this does strike really close to home, especially for you, because you're right down the road from a school where there was a mass shooting.
Well, there was a shooting. Yeah, there was a shooting when we were in school. I mean,
but there was a straight up mass shooting right down the road from where you are now.
Yeah, in Santa Fe. Yeah.
Yeah, over there, and your what was it? You had
my niece.
Yeah, your niece was there when it happened.
Classroom right next door.
Thankfully, she was able to get out of there before that man walked around the corner and did what he did. But the thing is some people will argue that it sounds crazy because it's not safe. Now you have teachers with weapons. You never know who could be emotionally unstable. And that's true. You can't account for every single scenario that's going to possibly happen. However, that teacher who's may be emotionally unstable, who has a weapon, is likely not going to do anything simply because there's a lot of other people in the air around them who also have a weapon. And that kid that ran up into the school firing his weapon and he took out those other kids, he wouldn't have gotten very far if some teacher had a weapon. And I know some people say, well, the answer to gun violence is not more guns. And I argue yes and no. Is there still a potentiality of something happening? Yes. Does that increase the probability? I don't think it does. I mean, I'm going off of opinion. I'm not going off of statistical fact. But from what I understood and from everything I've learned when I was in the military is when everybody's able to fight back, there's a less likely chance somebody's going to try to do something crazy. And I think that today's day and age, we are seeing mass shootings happen more often. We can't fool ourselves of that. I don't think they are happening as often as the media wants you to think, but we are having these things happen more often. And I feel that open carrying is probably more of an answer to that. I feel that teachers having a weapon on them at school is not a bad thing. Here, since mass shootings have gone on the rise, our schools out here, they're not, I won't say they're like locked down like prison, but to get into the school itself is difficult because you have to show up. You have to prove from outside, you have to prove who you are before you even walk into the office to sign in to come see your kid or pick up your kid or whatever. You can't even remember, you used to be able to just walk right into the school. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah, they're doing stuff like that down here now. Like I noticed that with a lot of elementary schools and stuff like that. They've all got fences around them and I've been noticing that.
Some people are like, "Oh, it's almost like they're in prison." I'm like, "No, it's really not. It is protecting the kids." It's protecting the kids. You're still, as a parent, allowed to walk up, show your ID to them, and say, "Okay, I'm here to pick up my kid," and they're okay with that. There's not the problem. It is making it more secure, but at the same time, I do believe that if the faculty is allowed to have their weapon on them, I definitely think you will see less likely chances of some little freaking emo punk kid who hates the world and come walking in their freaking crazy trench coat mafia attire and start shooting up the place. I think you'll see less of that happening overall.
I agree. It's just the way society's going right now. It worries me.
It's that
it just worries me. That's all it is.
I've got 2 points to make here. First, on what Chatter was saying, even when situations like that do happen, if people are armed, the potential damage that could be done decreases dramatically if there's people armed because they'll be able to stop it quicker. And that there are statistics to prove that, the same way that there's statistics to prove that open carry actually ends up resulting in less occurrence of gun violence. And I'm not saying that probability or possibility doesn't go up, but actual occurrence does go down, and there are statistics for that. The second point, though, and this is kind of more what you're talking about, Smithman, is the issue is not about guns or lack of gun law or gun control or anything like that. It is very much a societal or cultural issue that is the root cause of the problem. Because I don't know if you guys know, but if you went back to the 50s and 60s, high schools had gun clubs, and they had rifles stored in the school, and they'd fire live ammo, and you never heard about this type of thing happening.
Hell, they even had smoking sections.
Exactly. So it is very much more of a societal and cultural problem that's leading to this. It's not, we like to blame the guns and lack of gun laws or gun control or lack of training and this and that, but really I don't think that's the case. I think we're skirting around the issue of there is a societal problem that we're running into, and it's fed by a multitude of factors, but it's not gun culture or lack of gun laws and gun control that's leading to these problems. It's a lot more deep-rooted and nuanced than that.
Well, it's the lack of the implement of the laws, right?
Not even the implement. It's not even the implementation of the laws that are already on the book is an issue. Don't get me wrong. That is a very distinct issue. The answer of well, the laws aren't strict enough. It's like we need universal background checks. So we already have background checks in place. It's just they don't get enforced properly because the FBI is apparently bad at doing their job, it seems. But
you don't say.
Yeah. Even beside that, though, there's a lot of issues that go into what drives someone to commit gun crime. I mean, we look at the way that we address mental health. It's almost become taboo. We look at how, the narratives that the media tries to push for profit or for pushing agendas. I mean, like, when you talk about racial tensions or things like that, they put that stuff on an absolute pedestal and spin it 24/7. I mean, you look at the vitriol towards certain political candidates, and then you look at social media and how it strings people up. I mean, Trump derangement syndrome actually got recognized as being a legitimate mental health disorder by a lot of doctors because it was giving people anxiety because they thought, they thought everybody walking down the street with a MAGA hat was a Nazi, and they're going to be thrown in camps the next thing. And this happened on the Trump side too. When you heard Bernie staffers saying like, "Oh, well, we need to throw them all in re-education camps." I mean, the level of social tensions and through things like social media and the mainstream media and what's going on in our culture and our society leads to these high levels of anxiety, anger, fear. And it's literally fear porn. They fearmonger. I mean, CNN just recently with Project Veritas said it themselves. Like, they fear sells. People don't get tuned in to watch, kitty cats and puppy dogs. They tune in because they're afraid. They want to know what's going to happen next if they need to wear 2 masks or 3. Like,
the sheep need direction.
Exactly, and it's these levels of social tensions that are leading to this type of stuff. I mean, it has absolutely nothing to do with we don't have enough gun laws or gun control or even we're not enforcing them properly. That's a very small factor by comparison to the level of stress and fear that people are living in our current society with. And I would argue that along with mental health are much more important issues.
I mean, the point I was going to say is it's like it comes down to people like to say, hey, we shouldn't have to be like this. I shouldn't have to carry a weapon to feel safe. I shouldn't have to have this. I shouldn't have to have that. And I can understand people's thought process of this. It's just like when I'm on this is my favorite argument is like when I'm on Twitter and when I'm on like PSN, you get these people that are like, and like people are complaining about harassment or complaining about people saying negative things to them and all this. It's like, dude, you can block them, you can ignore them, you can rig it so you will never see anything they say to you ever again. And the phrase I always get in return from these people is, well, I shouldn't have to use those tools. I'm like, well, those tools are there for that. And in this scenario here is we're at that point where we have to carry a weapon. And I agree. It's like, well, should I have to feel safe? No, but now we're getting to that point where that's where we're at. And I think, just like you said, Doku, there is a multifactored reason on why we've come to this point in our country and why we're at this way and the way it is. I blame social pressure. I blame parenting above all else.
Politicians.
I blame politicians, but I blame a lot of parenting on a lot of the things too.
Absolutely.
Actually, I agree with Chatterer because I would say the number one problem that we have, and it is a generational thing, the ship of society doesn't exactly change headings very quickly. And so just with our generation, I would assume, I'm not guessing your guys' age, but I'm guessing you're around the same age that I am. It was almost taboo to teach your kids to deal with conflict or adversity in such a way that has been dealt with in the past that leads them to going to extremes, and it leads people to being like, oh my God, someone said something mean to me on the internet. They lose their minds and freak out. Like it's an actual visceral emotional reaction that they have because they
absolutely.
When they started fighting on the playground, the immediate thing is, oh, run to the teacher or you're going to get kicked out or expelled from school. And it just leads to more and more anger when it's, what they should do is like, okay, let them fight it out a little bit. When it starts to get out of hand, then you break it up. Like teach them to deal with conflict, teach them to deal with adversity. So they don't have these hardcore extreme reactions where it's like, instead of, I'm going to beat the shit out of you goes from that to I'm going to kill you really quick. It's like, no, just let them fight. Let them beat the crap out of each other real quick. Give them a couple of days to cool off, and ironically enough, they'll actually have more respect for each other, and they'll have more self-confidence too. Because hey, look, I got the crap beat out of me. I'm not made of glass. I didn't die, and they get the emotion out of their system, and they learn to deal with it. We haven't had that in our generation, and especially the upcoming generation. They've been too sheltered. They've been too coddled. They cannot deal with conflict. They cannot deal with adversity, and it leads to essentially what I consider to be a mental disorder. They're so pent up and they're so wrapped around the wheel so tight that the smallest thing sets them off and they go absolutely insane because they've never learned to deal with those emotions. They've never learned how to deal with conflict. They've never learned how to deal with stress. And as a kid, you're supposed to learn that. It's very difficult as an adult to try to break out of that mindset or that mentality that the world is, it's supposed to be this, sunshine and rainbows and safe space when that's not.
Well, go ahead, Chad.
I think Doku, you might be a little younger than us, but I mean, and when we were going to school, you absolutely fought people. Absolutely, that's what you did. There was no social media for us. Remember their Chatterer? We didn't have social media. We didn't have any of that. So it was a different time, but society-wise, people don't respect people. And now, if you allow these kids to fight like we would have when we were kids, hell, one of them might pull a gun out or one of them might pull a knife out. Well, it's like a whole other ball game now.
I mean, I'm 31, so I'm like I'm right on that edge.
You're right
there
with us. You're right there with us. I agree with I agree with everything you said. I agree with it, with everything. But
I'm on that edge where I saw it becoming less and less acceptable for kids to fight on the playground versus like when I was younger, like, no, someone punched you, you punched back, and you knew you were going to go to the principal's office and get detention.
Oh,
but when I was graduating high school, it was like one kid punched someone in the cafeteria, and all of a sudden it was like this, the school goes on freaking lockdown. I was like, what the hell? I just punched him. Like, what's the big deal?
Dude, we used to see fights in the cafeteria at high school. There'd be like 5 different people fighting at once.
Yeah, remember the kid we used to talk. Hold on, remember the kid I can't. Like I said, I don't like saying the real names, but we used to call him the Rat Boy.
Oh yeah.
Remember him? This dude was in a fight, dude. You know what? I gotta give the guy credit. He had balls. He didn't care who he was fighting. He fought every time.
You're talking about Evil E, right?
Evil E, yeah. We used to call him Rat Boy.
Yeah. That dude would fight anybody, dude.
Dude, he didn't care.
But you know what? He was getting bullied on all the time, but he would fight anybody, dude. Didn't take no shit from nobody.
Remember what he did in elementary school, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he stabbed that one kid in the neck with a pencil.
He eventually cracked, yes, he did.
But he got hit hard.
Now I believe he's in prison now.
Is he?
It's just the life.
Last I talked to him, he was going into contracting and was going to go overseas, but that was over 10 years ago, so I don't know what he's doing now. But the thing
I've seen mugshots of him.
Oh yeah, well, he's definitely been arrested multiple times. I mean, we could tell some stories about Evil E, but we ain't gonna go into that. But
he's a legend.
Yes, he is a legend of our area. But the other thing though is like you said, the kids are being coddled, and that's a thing that you're seeing now. Like I was told and explained by my wife, like my son was talking about how he was getting bullied all the time. There was these kids that were bullying him, they were picking on him, and they were pushing him around and everything. And I was like, you fight back. If they punch you, they hit you, you fight. You fight. I don't care. I'm not gonna get mad at you. You come home. I'm gonna be like, did you? First thing I'm gonna ask is, did you hit first? No.
Exactly.
And did you kick his ass? Okay. Let's go get it. Let's go to McDonald's. I mean, I've already said it. I will defend my son. I will back him up. If he gets into a fight because somebody's fucking with him, somebody's fucking with him, and he gets hit, I'm gonna be like, nah, you fight back. You push back. You show them you ain't gonna take their shit. And my wife's like, well, no, you can't tell them to do that because they're gonna suspend him too for fighting back. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'll homeschool him. You're a stay-at-home mom. Guess what? You can sit here while he sits on the computer and does his damn work. Oh well. I'm not gonna freaking tell my son, don't you fight back, because I ain't raising a pussy. I'm just not.
Again, that's the thing. If you don't fight back, or you're not allowed to fight back, it has a twofold problem. The first problem is you never deal with those emotions. You never deal with anger. You never learn how to deal with adversity, and that causes a huge self-respect problem. It'll actually make people self-conscious. It'll make them feel like they're inadequate or like they can't do something. That is very detrimental, especially in the developmental ages. And the second thing is, if you never fight back, the people that are bullying you, A, you're never going to earn their respect, and they're never going to stop, and B, they're also never going to learn that, hey, look, if you punch someone, you're probably going to get punched back. They end up getting away with it, so they just think they can go around treating people like that. And then again, in the developmental stages of life, this has very negative implications later down the road.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's very important. It's very important to learn those. My dad used to tell me, don't start the fight, but you better finish it. That's what he used to always tell me. And those are very important life lessons that you must learn as a kid. Absolutely imperative that you learn those lessons as a kid. Or even, maybe not learn them, but the right word would be to experience them.
And in today's day and age, the kids aren't learning that. I mean, now they're so coddled to the point that now when they actually go to college, they're told that if the teacher says, well, no, your due date is this, you're going to turn it in at this date. And they're like, well, I can't do it by that time because I got to go do this and that. It's like, no, you manage yourself and you take care of yourself. I remember there was what school was it? Doku, you might remember. There was a college. These kids went and were doing their activism and protesting at something. I forgot what it was. And they got triggered because the teacher the following day said, no, you're not getting extra time to do your work because you decided to go to a protest. If you decided you want to go to a protest, then you should have also made time to still take care of your work too. It's all on you.
Wasn't that the University of Missouri or something like that?
Yeah, and they got all pissy-faced and were crying because of it. And then there was the other case where there was some type of thing that happened on campus, and the kids were all over their main administration office, and they were having their sit-in, and they got pissed off because the guy came in and said, like the dean of the school said, okay, if you guys don't leave in the next few minutes, I'm going to have the police remove you. Well, this is it's our right, our First Amendment, free speech. You can't do it. And like, this isn't public property. We can throw you out of here. And you're making the staff upset. People's mindset, and they're getting worried.
Is really messed up right now.
Yeah,
man. But I do believe there's a lot of good people out there.
There definitely is.
That aren't buying into all this hype.
No, it definitely is. I mean, it's just the college campuses, I think, are the worst places where we see most of it at now.
They're being indoctrinated.
Well, there's that, of course.
Well, let's be honest. Did you guys forget this one? right after the 2016 election, they had to bring in therapy animals for like I think it was like New York University or New York State or some shit.
I saw that.
They had to bring in therapy animals for these kids because they were like crying. It's like, don't worry, you don't have to do your test. We're gonna postpone class for the week because we're all stressed, we're all upset. We understand. It's like, no, dude, you learn to deal with it.
Grow up.
And
Grow the fuck up.
Bunch of snowflakes.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing that drove me most insane about it was like, you know, whenever he won the election in 2016, and you saw all the freakouts and the reactions to it, and I'm just sitting there going, what is wrong with you? To mentally think that, to break down and literally cry. I like that one video of that one girl that's like, this can't be fucking happening, you better fix this right now. I'm like, dude, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
You know what you didn't see? When Biden won, got inaugurated, whether it's legitimate or illegitimate, he was certified, so he is president. That is legal.
Right.
We can argue about the integrity of the election all we want, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because he was inaugurated, he was certified. So,
yeah,
guess
agreed.
what? Biden is president. You don't see us screaming at the sky or doing TikTok videos, having mental breakdowns or anything like that. It's like, well, this is a bunch of bullshit. And most people took the approach that I took. It's like, all right, Biden won, so guess what? It's going to be 4 years if I told you so. And if you end up with buyer's remorse, don't come crying to me about it. You're the one that voted for this.
Yeah, instead of the... I'm not. When I say this, I'm not talking about the politicians because they don't do shit. But instead of the conservatives and Republicans that voted for Trump, instead of crying about it, like all the snowflakes did, the snowflakes. Yeah, I like saying that with Trump. But they started looking into lobbying against these politicians that are trying to change all these laws and stuff like that. They're already looking ahead to the next election, basically is what I'm saying. It's going to be interesting, dude. Like, do you think Biden is going to make his 4-year term? Do you think it's going to happen?
I think he'll make it up until the midterm elections. I think after that, something's gonna happen. They're gonna claim he's unfit for office, and it's gonna be President Harris.
25th, yeah.
I think he's gonna make his 4 years, but I don't think he's going to get a second term. I don't know why. Something tells me I don't feel like he's gonna make it to or I don't feel like he's gonna make a second term. Even if, I don't think he's honestly going to run for second term. I think the second term, it's going to be Harris running for president instead. Because I don't know. By that time, like how old is Biden now? He's like almost 80 now. He'll be 80, I think, when his next election comes up, right?
Actually, I think he'll be like 81 or 82.
Yeah, he's the oldest living president now compared to, like, the oldest acting living president, because Trump was the oldest, and now Biden is outbeat him for being older. So, yeah, he's going to be like 81 or something years old. I don't think he's going to go another 4 years after that. I think he's going to do his thing, and I think he's going to try to pass it off so that Harris can run for president. And I mean, you can say what you want. I mean, Harris might have a fighting chance to become a president. We don't know.
I don't think so. Not on an election, no.
I've been wrong a lot in the past, okay? So you can't take my opinion for fact in any way whatsoever.
I think is Harris is not going to win in a straight up election.
No, I don't think she will. But here's the thing.
The only way she's going to be president is if, like Doku said, they do. Is it the 25th? I believe it's the 25th. Yeah, if they go that route, I can see that going. Biden will not run for a second term. I don't think it has to do with his age, but it also has to do with he wouldn't win. Like, the stage had to be set perfectly right for him to win this time. That's the only reason why he won. Whether they cheated or not, I'm not saying that. I'm saying the environment that was going on at the time when Biden ran this time, that's the only way he could have won.
No, I agree with you on that. What I was going to say, though, is And now I've been wrong in the past when I've said this because I kept thinking it before. Where we're headed right now. I mean, all the Democrats control like almost everything, right? And where I think we're honestly, I think where we're headed, because there is so much push to the left right now. I think we really are headed for a enormous swing to the right. I think it's going to happen.
I think people will do it. I just don't trust the election system right now. I don't trust it. I trust it in Texas because I know what Texas is doing as far as voting and stuff. But I don't trust New York. I don't trust Philadelphia. I don't trust California. I don't trust other states.
I'll be a little more arrogant than Chatterer, and I'll say that I've been right about a lot of things in the past, so I'm going to stand by what I'm about to say. I got to balance it out. So, no, the way I see things, my as Anthony Bryan Logue would say, my detailed analysis is I don't think Biden actually wanted to run for president. I think he was pressured into it because he's basically just going to rubber stamp everything they put in front of him, and they'll try to push forward all these executive orders, get their agenda done. And once he's basically become useless, then they'll try to go ahead and remove him from office before the next presidential election even comes up, so that Harris can come in and take over, because she's basically doing the job of president right now anyways. And a lot of these other pushes you're seeing is, like Chatterer was saying, you are seeing a swing towards the nationalist populist right, and that doesn't mean they're Republicans. As soon as a Republican actually betrays, the nationalist populist MAGA movement, they get thrown under the bus really quickly too. And they're cowards. Yeah, we do not suffer people we consider to be traitors, not in the literal legal sense of the term, but people who betray what we want, the America First type of agenda. We don't suffer betrayal of that very lightly, and it doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. You get called out regardless. And I think the establishment Democrats, the old guard, the rhinos, they all know this. They know that people are kind of fed up with career politicians who are way overpaid, who don't do anything to help the people, and who put other countries and personal interest and national interest and corporate interest above that of the country and the people. We don't like that. That's essentially why we voted for Trump, is we wanted an outsider. We wanted someone who was going to, not just be another Bush or another Clinton or another Obama. We're kind of fed up with the elitist establishment. That was the whole purpose. I think what's going on now, and why you're seeing the strong push to essentially expand and consolidate power as rapidly as possible. Trying to. Yes. They said they were never going to talk about packing the Supreme Court. We're not even a year in, and they're talking about it. Again, that's an "I told you so." Oh, no one's coming for your guns. Well, what are red flag laws then? See, it's "I told you so." It's all about all the riots. Yeah, all the riots are going to stop. No, they won't. Again, what happens? Either A, it squeezes out small businesses. The only people that can go through these types of situations and actually still come out financially unscathed for the most part are corporations. So again, corporate interests, those are all donors, squeezes out small businesses, because small businesses usually don't vote for unions. They don't vote for Democrats. They don't vote for higher minimum wage. They don't like illegal immigration unless you work in the restaurant industry. These are all power grabs in an attempt to expand and consolidate power as rapidly as possible, because they know the majority of the population, both Republican and old school, like union blue collar Democrats, do not like this progressive agenda of the left, and they don't like the corporate agenda of the right. They do not like what's been the establishment political powers. They want a nationalist populist. They want someone who's going to work for them. And upon knowing that, this is their one chance, because it was supposed to be Clinton. This is their one chance where they can essentially consolidate power and change the rules in such a way that they'll never lose it again. Or as Google would say, prevent another Trump situation, which really just means prevent national populism. That's
exactly what they're doing.
It's a corporate elitist power grab, because when I say corporate, people think I'm just talking about, the Microsofts and the Nikes and the Googles of the world. No, politics and politicians are a corporate cottage industry at this point in time. We have to realize that.
There's a lot of money flowing through that too.
Yes,
absolutely.
There is.
Yeah, it's a power grab. It's a major power grab. They're trying to lock it up for the Democrat Party for the next 50, 100 years is what they're trying to do. Not to mention, you add to that power grab some of those things that you said, the major transfer of wealth that's been going on in these last few relief bills.
Yes,
that's a big sign right there. Well,
I mean, and I'm not trying to get into the nitty gritty of it because I know Doku knows more about it, but like the Wall Street Bets thing was a big deal because of that, and that's where we saw a huge transfer of wealth because during the pandemic, who was making the money was those folks, the Wall Street tycoon guys,
Amazon,
shorting the stocks and all that shit. And then suddenly something has to be done whenever the Wall Street Bets folks came and were like, you know what? We don't care if it make money or not. We're going to pick the one fucking thing being shorted the most. We're going to buy the shit out of it, drive it up into the fucking air, and we're going to hold on to that shit just so companies can lose money. And it freaked those fuckers out, They started trying to come up with ways to make laws and manipulate the market and just expose the shit out of them. And granted, Doku, I know that things have changed a bit since then. People became far more informed about what they're doing and how they're doing things and market dealing with the market and everything like that. But initially, that's what was happening. It was a transfer of wealth, and because people were pissed the fuck off that everybody was screwed over last year, and they all just sat around and just made money and collected money. That was it.
Well, let's don't get into that. That's a good topic to talk about.
Yeah, we only got like 8 minutes, so yeah.
But here's one more quick thing to add to this whole transfer of wealth, power grabs. The little backup topic that we had with the border crisis that's going on. That's another form. That's another form of a power grab in the sense of voters.
Actually, that's a good one because I've seen a lot of people, especially on Twitter, argue like, oh well, they're technically not citizens, so what are you talking about? That it's gonna change the electorate replacement, blah blah blah. It's like, well, normally, yeah, you'd have a point. They can't. So I would like 2 questions answered then. One, why are you so against election integrity? Because you have to prove you're a citizen or not. And if you're against ID, well, you can't exactly prove that you're a citizen or not, especially if you want to have vote by mail and ballot harvesting be a regular thing. Okay, technically you can do that, but you need to have some sort of integrity put in place. If you're against that, then guess what?
You just hit the bullseye. You just hit the bullseye. That's what I mean. It's for voting. They can easily come in and get a fake ID, or we saw evidence of this last time. There is evidence out there of people voting that do not exist. Yeah, and they voted. Yeah. And they voted. So if that could happen, someone illegal in this country, the odds of them being able to vote is pretty high. If someone that doesn't even exist could vote, yeah,
they're actually being more bold than that, though, Smith, because they're saying like, okay, well, they're not citizens, they can't vote, and you're letting a bunch of illegal citizens in the country and everything, okay, but then at the same time, on the out of the other cheek, you're talking about giving them an easier pathway to citizenship. Well, guess what? Mm-hmm. All those people who just came here because Biden's president, we've had people flat out say if Trump was in office, they wouldn't come here, but because Biden's office, they came. Who do you think they're going to vote for? You're talking about giving them a pathway to citizenship. Guess what? Absolutely. There's your electorate. Hey. Well, this is the thing. It's not a conspiracy theory. They've flat out said it themselves. So they've got it straight from the horse's mouth.
They've got it on record that they said that they were coming here because of what Biden said and everything Biden was doing. And what's funny is that like he's walking back. Them, dude. Well, what's sad is like Biden's walking back a lot of what was previously said and done about this. Like, okay, as soon as Biden took office, he was like, okay, all right, getting rid of all of Trump's policies, get rid of all of it, gotta shut it all down, right? And then now he's slowly, quietly bringing them back.
Yep.
Because they
What are you talking about, man?
So
what are you
like,
talking about, man? Come on, man. I ain't doing that, man. What are you talking about?
Like-
Get
like-
your face
Well,
out your ears.
he started coming
This
back.
guy-
And was like, well, we're gonna have to reinforce parts of the border now. I'm like, but that's what the fuck Trump was doing.
No,
and I
man,
think that kind of
was
ties
my
back
idea.
into. I think that kind of ties back into what I was saying earlier. Is yes, this is a power grab by the establishment,
Dude.
and I think they're slowly realizing that the majority of people actually don't support a lot of these policies just because Twitter is not real life, so to speak. So they bit off more than they could chew. So it's like, okay,
Bruh,
we pushed a little too far. We're gonna have to reel this back in a little bit because otherwise,
nah, I think it's more diabolical than that. Joe Biden is a plagiarist. That's what he is. I mean, you can go back and look at stuff he said in the 80s, stuff he said in the 90s, the 70s. He's a plagiarist. And what he's doing is he's destroying anything that's good. Like the first example, Chatter was right with the border. But if you remember, when Biden first came into office, they started saying that Trump didn't have a plan on the vaccine stuff. When at the end of December, we were already giving out 1 million doses a day already. So they come in, they destroy that. Trump didn't have a plan. It's all messed up. And then they come out with their plan, which is the exact same plan, but they take credit for it. Like, no, I fixed it, right? So it's like destroy it, which is what they do. Like they go in there, they take something, they mess it up. Hey, look, man, this is all messed up, but we can fix it if you vote for us.
that's the Hegelian dialectic is problem, reaction, solution.
Textbook, and that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing with the border stuff too. I mean, he knew by canceling that stuff what the outcome of that was going to be. You can't tell me that he didn't know that. Nobody can tell me that. Like, what do you think's going to happen if you just start inviting people over here? You're going to have major, like, traffic jams per se. At the border, there's going to be people freaking in buildings, and you're going to have to detain them, and you're going to have to figure out what the fuck's going on. And you got the cartels mixed up in that stuff. I mean, plus, we've got criminals here. As an American citizen, you walk down the street and see people every day that are American citizens that are sketchy as fuck. You know what I mean? So you can't tell me that people from another country aren't going to be like that too. Not all of them, but there's going to be people like that.
You're going to have that anywhere. Like, you got
what the fuck?
everywhere.
It's common sense.
There's only one explanation for everything going on right now. Biden is an alien.
He's a reptilian, dude.
He's a reptilian overlord.
Dude,
Jones was right. Jones right again.
Alex Jones and David Icke were all right all along.
You ever seen that picture of I'm going to try to send it to you real quick, Chatter. I'll put it on Discord. It's of Obama like standing in the one of the official rooms of the White House, and the way the flag is behind him, it looks like he has devil horns.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that picture,
crazy.
And there's this one where it was I want to say it was Obama and
here it is.
God, who was it? It wasn't George W. But it was Obama and another. I think it might have been whoever was running against Obama back when he first got elected.
Romney,
or it might have been Romney. But if you look in the background, it's weird, like the shadowing and the lighting makes the shape of like a goat head. It looks really, really crazy.
I just put it on there.
I've seen that one, I think. I think I have seen that. Let me
pull it
up. Let me see.
Yeah, see if you can pull it up.
But just what Smitman was saying is, this is not a new thing. A lot of politicians have always run on.
Oh yeah, I've seen this picture before.
There's a problem, and a lot of times they create the problem so they can offer you the solution. Be like, hey, look, there's this problem. Yeah, we can fix it, but you got to vote for me. And then, there's never an incentive to actually fix anything. I mean, when Trump was running on the just using immigration, talking about building a border wall and having tighten immigration policy, things like that. those are the same things that Bush, Obama, and Clinton ran on too. They were saying the same stuff for years. They just never did anything about it.
The one difference is Trump didn't create that problem. That was the one difference, you know. Like everybody else that's ran for president, they've been politicians forever. You know what I mean? Like they could have been trying to fight for that this whole time, you know, and they don't.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Trump flat out said. He's like, "Look, if you guys actually did something about it, or you're good at your jobs, I wouldn't have run." Like, yeah. He's like, he didn't. You're right. He didn't create the problems, but he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna fix them." And
he tried at least. You know,
yeah, no, he tried.
That went a long way with him. You know, I could get past his whole character and all that. Just because I actually saw a president that was doing what he said he was going to do. Whether you disagree with it or not, at least he was doing exactly what he ran on. And that meant a lot to me, you know.
No, I'm right there.
Because most of them don't, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like, look, it shouldn't be a joke, but it is where it's like, look, politicians lie and make false promises. You know, so it's like, yeah, good luck getting them to actually do what they promised they were going to do.
I mean, there's a few good politicians out there, you know, there's a few good ones, but do you think maybe too they get caught up in the system, the politician, like they go in there wholehearted and they just get caught up, you know, like you owe this dude this favor, you know, you owe this guy, you know.
No, I think it's inevitable. I think if it doesn't happen through the pressure of the inner beltway and being on Capitol Hill, it'll happen in a more organic way where you get so used to the way of how things are run and what you have to do, what wheels you have to grease in order to get any of your agenda done. You inevitably get caught up in the system and become corrupted. You might have the best intentions in the world, but
I mean, look at. I mean, this is the last point I'm going to make, and then we're going to have to start. We got to wrap up, but look at AOC. I mean, AOC was like that. You know, she came in with all these like bright, crazy ideas from the progressive side of things, and now she's kind of just falling in line because she's realizing that she ain't going to be able to get any of the stuff that she wants, and she wants to stay in her position. She's just got to walk the walk and talk the talk with everybody else. She can't go against the grain. Otherwise, she'll get put out on her ass. We all know it. But with that said, guys, we need to wrap up and get on out of here.
That'd be a good topic. Yeah, it'd be a good topic
for our next get together.
Yeah, term limits. You know, the money that's made in politics. You know, that kind of stuff. That'd be a great topic to talk about one day.
Yeah, we can. We'll reserve it for the next one. But
all right, get us out of here, man.
Get us out of here.
I'm tired of it.
What am I supposed to have a whole speech like ready to go for this? I'm supposed to talk.
Yeah, you don't have like where's the exit music, dude?
The exit music. We have exit music? I didn't know we had exit music, man.
We're supposed to be professional here.
All right, well let me just
come on, man.
Let me kick back on the Super Mario Brothers jazz that we're probably going to get a copyright claim with.
That was great.
Yeah, I'm driving it off home.
I am going to talk to my buddy about doing a jingle for us, so I'm going to talk to him about it.
That would be good, man. I think that would work. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming and watching episode 3 of Steak and Potatoes. Sorry that episode 2 and episode 1 are missing on the channel. It was a wild time. We're getting used to ourselves here, kind of feeling out the waters here, figuring out what we're going to be doing and talking about, and I think we're getting it down right, you know. I think we got it, so we'll be back. What is it, every other week now, Spitman?
Yeah, I like doing it every other week. Yeah. That way people don't get too tired of hearing about us, but
I should
let your mind stew a little bit too, you know.
Yeah. Well, in this episode, I mean, I should be able to cut this one up a lot easier than the last two. I was trying to. I was just like, I just gave up on the last two. It was like, man, we were all over the fucking place. So, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, bye.
Yeah, see ya.
I don't really have a catchphrase for us.